I've never known a finer person.
A conservative gentleman would probably be the way I would describe him.
I don't know anyone that doesn't like Eugene Busche. Well, Eugene Busche and I became acquainted when we were both on the Indianapolis Life Insurance Company board.
Well, Gene and I have known each other for a long time. I became a member of the Indianapolis Life Board of Directors, and he became a member of the Indiana Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. I was the executive of the chamber, and he, of course, was the president of the Indianapolis Life organization.
How I first got to know him was when I came to St. Lucie United Methodist Church 18 years ago from South Dakota. Gene and Barb Busche were the first couple I met. Barb was on the Staff Parish Relations Committee that interviewed me and hired me. And Gene and Barb took care of my wife and I during the weekend we were here.
Gene, I think, came into the club in '71, and I didn't come until '76. So he had his chance to establish himself pretty well, but still on a very low-key basis.
I have to start by saying he's the consummate gentleman, and I've known him probably since the early '80s. I worked with his daughter-in-law. We worked together at the Children's Museum.
Well, I met Gene first at Methodist Hospital when he was serving on the board at Methodist, and his wife and I were involved in organizing a brand new organization called the Methodist Hospital Task Corps.
I think for Rotarian of the Year, they talk about contributions to not only Rotary, but to the city and probably anything else, and he personifies it.
I think the characteristic that stands out most about him is his humility. He was never full of himself.
I think probably the best quality is that of utter gentleman.
Gene is humble. He's not putting himself forward.
He's always a cool head, and to me, that's probably his big strength.
Gene just has a wonderful sense of humor, and at just the right moments. When things are tense or when people are worried, Gene will come up with some statement that is just hilarious.
Gene and Barb have also been incredibly family-oriented. A number of years ago, their daughter-in-law, Tina, passed away of breast cancer, leaving their son David with 3 children. And Gene and Barb, although retired, took on raising the two younger children. And when most people after retirement were playing golf and going to Florida, Gene and Barb were staying at home and going to basketball games and choir concerts and school conferences for their grandchildren.
There is a calmness about him when things happen that is so comforting to anybody that's with him. And it was not easy raising 3 kids through their teenage years. And I think it says he's there for anybody, anytime.
It says he puts people first. That people are more important than projects, than status, than wealth. It's the people that make the difference.
But about 3 years ago, he was put in charge of a one-day mission at the podium. It was for Veterans Day, and he was to identify all the veterans out in the audience. And he started off with saying, "We still have 1 veteran left from World War I." And we were all looking around the room to see who it was, and then he gave my name.
We have quite a number of old times to talk about, one of which is the excellent golfing group that Gene and I were in for several years. it had a lot of things to recommend it. One time we were playing Riverside golf course, and Gene hit the shortest drive of the day. It was 18 feet 6 inches, as I recall. That was, of course, one of his better drives. So it turned out to be a very interesting golfing outing, and of course, Gene was one of our stars.
Gene's dad was a professor at Purdue. And Gene grew up on the Purdue campus. And where did he end up? At IU.
Well, I went to Indiana University because I really wanted to go to Purdue, but my SATs were too high.
Well, I think it recognizes someone who's modestly been in the club not expecting particularly applause. And so for that reason, for us to honor Gene is just perfect, because he would never seek an honor like this himself.
Your peers, colleagues, friends, and fellow Rotarians see qualities in you that you may not see in yourself.
Well, I'm sure it means a great deal to Gene and to Barbara. And for the community, it's recognition that is deserved by a person who has participated abundantly in the creation of the better things in Indianapolis. Of course, the Indianapolis Rotary Club is one of the world's largest, and for that reason, it's extremely significant both for this community and others.
Well, one of the reasons why I was happy to become a member of Rotary was because it allowed me to become more active in the community, service above self.